welcome to Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. I'm your host, Andrew Heaton, and you have the tidiest hedges of anyone in town. It's like they're getting a haircut on a regular basis. So tidy. Today, it's Friday. We're going to do a Friday release valve episode. That means that here in a minute, I'm going to bring on my friend and fellow comedian, Lou Perez, to kick around some of the more obscure yet awesome headlines of the week. We're going to make no effort to be full of substance. We did that all the rest of the week. If you're new to the program, there was really good substance Monday through Thursday. Friday, we're just going to have fun. But before we do that, we do have to pay the bills, and we're going to do it a little bit differently than we usually do. My producer, Jennings, said that he has come up with his own commercial that we're going to do today. So, Jennings, do you want to come out and we'll advertise the product?
Hi.
And for is this your first time on camera? For people that have the blaze at home?
It very well may be.
Audience, Jennings audience. So, yeah, what are we going to do?
Well, the good folks over at Liquid Meats have sent us a sample, and so today you're going to drink a liquid smoothie, a beef smoothie.
Jennings, I think we're running kind of short on time, and for that reason, I think it's just a good idea that you maybe leave a beef smoothie in my dressing room, and I'll get to that later, and we just move on with the show.
Well, actually, Heaton, I've got all the equipment here. Should just take a moment, and honestly, I think you could use the energy for the show. Plus, our sponsors are watching. Hello out there, and I think they'd really like to see you drink a beef smoothie. So I'm just going to set that up for you.
Thanks, Jennings. Sure, I look forward to it. I stand by all of the products that we advertise on my program, and beef smoothies, which I am told have the consistency of a milkshake, but are made of pureed or pulpified beef, is of course no exception. So I look forward to trying this. What kind of beef are you putting in there? Is that brisket?
This isn't just brisket, folks. This is the finest brisket that liquefied meat provides.
Great.
Good stuff.
Okay.
You want to lick the bowl?
Nope.
Get a little barbecue sauce in here for flavor.
That looks really good. I can understand why these are such a hot-selling item and one that the program stands behind.
It just smells like a one race, doesn't it? Like you took this and you ran 100 meters and you beat Jesse Owens. No, it's not plugged in. Thick beef, folks.
Okay.
Looks delicious.
That is so good. I'm very glad that I've tried this product. Thank you, Jennings. Thank you, Jennings, for being a part of today's program. Yeah, that's great. I'm going to set that off to the side for a minute, but I'm going to finish that up later on in the program. Thank you.
See that you do.
My guest today is Lou Perez. He is a comedian. He's a friend of mine. He's the head writer and executive producer of We the Internet TV and joins us now. Lou, thanks for being on the program.
Well, thank you for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm full of protein from the beef smoothie that my producer sprung on me.
Yeah, I heard some noises. I was worried about you.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's the finest grade beef and some of the best barbecue sauce. And I mean, who doesn't want to have liquid beef? Yeah.
It's coursing through your veins right now.
Yes, exactly. Let's kick around some headlines, shall we?
Let's do it.
So in France, Sheep enroll at French school as students. Now, the story behind this is that there was a school in France that I think was short on students, and they were thinking about closing it down. And so a Frenchman enrolled 15 of his ewes into the school district to try and meet this shortfall. Which Lou, I'm from Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure our valedictorian was a donkey. I think it's awesome to have animals involved in school, and I think maybe even my alma mater gave an honorary doctorate to Custer's horse. I'm not sure. Excuse me, just have to choke down a little bit of that remaining beef.
Well, I love the idea of, schools are often called like these indoctrination camps that produce sheep, and rather than putting the students in and then turning them into sheep, the guy just went and in a way kind of skipped a few grades and just brought the sheep right in. So. Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm generally for incorporating animals into anything. Like here at the Blaze, I believe there is a dog policy of not hanging out in the building a lot. I'm planning to get a dog, and I think I'm going to put it in a giraffe costume and then be like, is there a giraffe policy? And then just really go to the mat on that one.
Are you? Do you think you'll ever kind of go the service animal route and just try to use that as an excuse to bring around like a cool animal?
Maybe.
Cool dog.
You know what? Oh, I found this out a couple of days ago, Lou. Apparently, you can use miniature horses as a service animal, which
oh my God, that's amazing.
I had no idea that was actually a viable thing you can do. That you can get a miniature horse and then insist on taking it with you into buildings. Like I'm assuming hospitals and bars and things like that. That would be if you're looking for a way to strike up conversation at a bar. I think probably a miniature service horse is the way to do it.
Oh, totally. I once went into a bar in my neighborhood, and there was a guy in there that had not one, but two, 80-pound yellow labs. And the guy was claiming that both of them were his service animals. And I'm just of the mind where if you're an adult and you need two service animals, we should probably keep animals away from you. There's no way you could possibly be the type of person who is capable of taking care of animals, let alone yourself.
If you need two of them. Yeah, I'm kind of where I get mixed feelings on it is when it's on plane flights, because for a while it really drove me nuts. I knew a lot of people, I'm sure you know a lot of people too, who will get a note from their doctor to have a quote-unquote service animal to bring on the plane, and they're fine. It's just an excuse to take the dog on the plane. I'm in favor of that now because I found out it's actually it damages dogs' hearing to put them, or it's very noisy and bad for them to put them in steerage. So I'm being pro-dog. I'm in favor of it, but I still do get really irritated at just how smug some of my friends are. Like they're the first person to figure this thing out, and they're really pulling a fast one. It does bug me.
Yeah, or it's something that just everyone is going to be all right with. It's like, oh, I'm bringing on, here's my pit bull. Onto this cramped, Southwest flight, and everyone's going to be cool with it, right?
Yeah.
And you got to give us some time to, acclimate to it. I've seen pictures of, I think there was a woman on a flight with a parrot or something like that, a bird, and I don't know.
Good call. Yep.
Yeah.
Have you seen those? I think maybe they're internally regulating them where you can't bring them on. But for a while there was this thing called like a room blocker or something. And you'd bring it on the plane with you, and you'd set it up in the seat in front of you, and it wouldn't let them recline, so that you could keep your legroom the entire time, where the person ahead of you couldn't recline. And people were fighting each other. I think I'd throw a punch over that if I paid for a decent seat and I couldn't recline my chair back because some jerk just decided he wanted to have all the legroom. I think I'd risk throwing a punch.
Oh yeah, that's insane. And also, that. They put the blame on the passenger as if we're the ones who designed these little tuna can.
Yeah.
If we had the choice, we would totally be sitting in the middle seat, between two people who outweigh me by 100 pounds each. That's where I'm going to put myself and where I want to be, the most wind. I don't know, agronomic. What's the word? Agronomic.
Agronomous. Yeah, ergonomic.
Agronominous, is it?
Agronominous sounds like some kind of space term. Like, oh man, he's agronominous. He's very, very good at being in a shuttle.
He's scary in a shuttle.
Yeah, that's how agronominous he is. Yeah,
you can't trust him.
What I would like to do, and I don't know why this isn't a thing, I would totally fly in a plane where there were bunk beds. Like you wouldn't get a lot of room. Like I'm assuming it'd only be like a clearance of maybe like a foot or 2 feet. So like you couldn't sit up in it. But I would much rather just lay down and go to sleep. That sounds way better to me. So if you're listening, United, feel free to take that one and run with it.
Oh yeah, and I'm one of those people. I'm 5'10", and I'm legitimately 5'10". I'm not one of those guys who.
Yeah, you're not dating anymore. You don't have to claim any other height. You can just say what you are.
Exactly on my dating profile. And I have like this attraction or this sort of interest in maybe jealousy in guys who are over 6 feet tall. And I have buddies of mine who are like 6'4", and I'm like, man, I would just love to be you for a day or so. And then they're like, not when we're flying, man. You do not want to be us when we're flying.
So
the world is not good for them.
I'm 6 foot even, like a dead 6 feet, 6'3" in heels, 6 foot even. And I'll tell you, normally being 6 feet tall, amazing. I am just constantly knee deep in women. Everyone assumes that I'm a commanding, authoritative force. But I got to say, yes, when you're on those planes, it can be kind of cramped. Do you know what else is cramped to travel in, Lou? A barrel.
Ooh.
Because a Frenchman, this is our next headline, a Frenchman arrives in Caribbean after crossing the Atlantic in a giant barrel. So his name, Jean-Jacques Savin, set off from the Canary Islands, which is that's the Spanish holding, kind of like just past Spain, I think. And he was in there for, how long was it? It was like 2 or 3 months. It was 128 days that he was there. Yeah. 71 years old, and he got in a barrel. The barrel, the dimensions for those of you picturing this at home. Here, basically, this is what I want you to picture. I want you to picture an orange short bus version of a submarine. That's what it looks like. Imagine a submarine now. Imagine the short bus version. And it's about 10 feet by 7 feet. So there's a little bit of maneuverability room to it. Not a whole lot. And he fished on his way there. I assume he had some kind of water distiller and was in there for 128 days before this, by natural forces, the wind and waves were able to take him to some Dutch island in the Caribbean. On the one hand, I am very impressed. I think this man should be made king of France, or at least king of that island. But on the other hand, I'm curious as to what he did to keep from being bored for 128 days. Being in a barrel for 128 days by yourself? Like, it said that he looked out the window a lot. Yeah, probably. That sounds insane to me. But I want to be clear on this, only because of the boredom. If he'd had an Oculus Go or something like that, he had an Oculus Go and a Kindle, I'm like, go for it, man. That sounds great. I'm bothered about the boredom threshold.
Oh my God. I'm just imagining him having an Oculus and him using it to just go into like a virtual reality world where he's back in Paris while he's in this. I was a little bummed that when I heard barrel and Frenchman, I thought it was going to be like a legit wine barrel.
Ooh,
that
nice.
The guy was in, like, and I just had this silly image of him just being sort of covered in Merlot and just having to like drink all of this wine on his way over there. I guess I have to drink
my way out of another pickle. And then he gets over there and he's drunk but happy. That'd be great. I would consider doing that. Have you ever heard the phrase "tapping the admiral"? It's not as dirty as you listeners at home think with your filthy minds. It's a British expression, tapping the admiral. Just like, let's have a drink, let's tap the admiral. And it comes from, I don't think it's made the jump over here to the United States, although maybe we can make it a thing now. And it comes from when the Duke of Wellington was shot at, it's not Trafalgar, is it? I can't remember where he died, but he died in battle. Maybe it's Trafalgar. He died in battle. And they need to get his corpse back to London to be honored as a hero. But they're out on the sea, and the sea is not a great place to keep a corpse. It gets pretty nasty out there. So they pickled him in a bottle of brandy. And, that's a decent way to. And here's the gross part. By the time they got back to London, the barrel of brandy was empty because that was not a problem for the sailors there. So tapping the admiral, that's my gross history lesson for you at home.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
incredible.
It strikes me as something that I love that story. I should probably do more to confirm it because there's this latent tour guide element of my being that's like, oh, a good story. Just go ahead and grab it and don't look into it. But that is my understanding to the origin of that phrase.
Right. Well, do you has this this Frenchman taking off in that barrel, has he inspired you to do something when you finally turn 71, so many years from now? Is this how you want to be spending your 71st year on this planet.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's something. I'm 35 now, so that's it's twice my current length of lifetime. Yeah, you know what? Hats off. If anybody is 71 and they're like, I can either take up golf or I can ride a barrel across the Atlantic Ocean. I do appreciate the bravado of that. I hope and assume by the time that I'm 70 that space tourism will be a thing. And so it would be cool if I could ride a barrel into space and hang out there for a while. Alternately, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe like something I want to do. I would love to ride a bike to every distillery in Scotland and then write a book about it. I think that'd be kind of fun. I know a guy in his 70s that did just that. I don't know. I'm sure I'll come up with some adventure, but the lay on the ground might change between now and I'm 70. We might have cyborgs or something I want to incorporate into it.
Oh yeah, having your cyborg do all the work for you. That would be pretty cool.
So back in America, man sentenced to prison for trying to bribe ICE agent to deport his wife. So this guy followed an ICE agent. He saw the vehicle, followed him, and then when he stopped him, offered to give him $3,000 to deport his wife. And then apparently struck up a conversation with him, got his contact info, and then upped it. Called him a couple weeks later and was like, dude, you got to help me out. I'll give you $4,000 if you can get rid of this wife and her child from a previous marriage. Huh?
Exactly. Yeah. I think the 4,000 was for the wife and daughter.
Oh, okay.
And I think the irony is that, here he was trying to bribe an ICE agent where if he wanted an illegal alien to do it for him, he could have done it for way cheaper. Way cheaper.
You saying he should have got over to whatever the ethnic district is adjacent to his and been like, hey guys, who wants to take this lady back south to Honduras? And then just giving him $1,500.
Yeah. Just go outside of the Home Depot, where the day workers are hanging out and see what they can do for you.
I'm just impressed with. I'm impressed with how conflict averse this man must be, because it's his wife. It's not his ex-wife. It's his wife. So I'm assuming that he does not want to have a conversation with her about a divorce, and in his mind feels that it would just be easier for all parties concerned to deport her and not have that conversation. And I do appreciate that level of passive aggressiveness. That is if you've ever had a roommate and they write something on a sticky note on the fridge like, hey, wouldn't it be great if everybody, took out their old avocados or whatever? This is like that times a billion.
Oh yeah, and can you imagine if he had pulled it off? I mean, it would have been amazing because.
Well, I think he would have become like a knight in the Trump administration or something.
Or on the other hand, he could have played the part of ICE, they separate families. Look what they did to me, and I'm newly single. Newly single, ladies. I'm a victim of this, this administration, and I'm, 6 feet tall, and I
6 feet tall. I've got an emotional parakeet, or I've got a sympathy parakeet that I take on planes. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And a barrel of brandy with an Admiral in it. Bring it all together.
That's what we call the deal closer. It's like, hey, you want to come back to my house? I've got a barrel of brandy with an Admiral in it. So on the note of both animals and water stories, beluga thought to be a possible Russian spy fetches woman's phone from the ocean. Had you been following this story at all, Lou?
No. This was the first time I'd heard of it. I may have come across something in a meme or something like that, but I thought it was kind of more of a joke. I know that the Navy trained dolphins to find underwater mines and that sort of thing. So I thought this was kind of here's the fan fiction, sort of espionage version of that, but on the the Russian side.
I think it's entirely possible that this is the Russian version of Air Bud, that we get a cool golden retriever that plays sports, and the Russians have a spy whale that rescues phones. I could see. So we nearly did this story last week, and I think I forgot to put it in. So this is actually, I've been following this for a couple of weeks now. So the Norwegians have named this whale Hvladimir with an H, Hvladimir. So I'm just going to use that so everybody knows who I'm talking about. Hvladimir showed up off the coast of Norway a couple of weeks ago. A beluga whale, which if you're not familiar with them, they kind of look like a larger, whiter dolphin. They're not huge, or at least this whale. It's like you could put it in a zoo pool. And they found it off the coast of Norway, and it had a band around it that had a camera on it, and the band said St. Petersburg equipment. And so the inference that was initially made was, okay, there's a whale off the coast of this NATO country, and it has, documentation connecting it to Russia, and it's got a camera on it. This is clearly a spy whale. And but then you start thinking about it deeper. This is where the conspiracy goes, or not even the conspiracy. I'm just saying this the sleuthing. The text is in English. It says St. Petersburg equipment. So if it were Russian, presumably it would be in Cyrillic, which makes us wonder if maybe this is a whale that escaped SeaWorld in St. Petersburg, Florida, and then went all the way to Norway, which is what I hope happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But like before, as you were, sort of bringing those details up, I was thinking, oh, he's a double agent.
Nice.
The whale's got to be a double agent. But wow, that's incredible. That's quite a long journey. Right?
Kudos to that one. And the video's adorable, by the way. If you want to look at this at home, I think it's on Instagram. It's this whale just sort of like you see this whale coming up, and he's got a smartphone in his mouth, and then he comes up enough that the lady can grab it, and then he's like, okay, thanks, ma'am, and then like descends back into the ocean. It was really cool.
It would be incredible if right after he gave her the phone, he went back down, then came up with like a pound of rice, like dry rice, and just said you have to put the phone in there in order to dry out.
Yeah, ma'am, don't turn your, that's my whale voice, don't turn your phone on until it's completely dried out. Here's some rice. The Norwegians they're debating what to do with it because they thought, well, if it's a Russian spy whale, we don't want it hanging out here. Although, presumably if you just take the camera off, it's just a whale. I don't think whales have like a lot of patriotic zeal to them. What I think they're probably going to do is make it an admiral. I don't think I've ranted about this, but have you heard my beef with Sir Nils the penguin?
No, but I need to hear it now.
Okay. So, as you know, I used to live in Edinburgh. And in Edinburgh, there's an ongoing relationship between the Scots and the Norwegians because during World War II, the Norwegians did some training in Edinburgh and things like that. And so there's this long, actually it's even older than that because the Norwegians used to own the Isle of Orkney and things like that. So anyway, the long thing, they decided to have like an exchange program. So the King of Norway gave the Edinburgh Zoo a penguin. And every time he comes back to Edinburgh to visit, he upgrades this penguin. So he gave the penguin and then he knighted it. So it was literally Sir Nils, the knighted penguin of Norway. And then he came back and he made it like a corporal. And last I checked, this friggin' penguin is a brigadier general in the Norwegian army, which infuriates me, by the way, because my current rank, like my highest rank that I've ever achieved in life is Eagle Scout. Eagle Scout is the highest thing that I've managed to ascend to. And this bird that can't even fly, not even smart enough to fly, it gets to be a brigadier general. So I'm infuriated by that. And I would imagine the Norwegians, what with their love of making animals into military officials, will probably make this dumb beluga whale like rear admiral of the Norwegian Navy.
Do you want the U.S. to pull all its funding from NATO because of this? Because would that make you happy? Huh?
Maybe.
Watch this bird turn to the drink, and his career just upended.
The bird is lacking a sense of purpose. It's bothered by its former combat missions. It's no longer plugged into its platoon of like-minded birds. Yeah, okay, you bring up a good point. Actually, I'll tell you that here's the policy prescription I would like to see. I'm a big fan of whales, and I'm a big fan of dolphins. They're very smart. We'll do an episode about this on the future. I don't think we should view the planet Earth's creatures as divided into humans and animals. I think we should see it more like a spectrum. And I would put whales and chimps pretty close to us. Like I want to take care of them. I feel bad for them. I would like to just flat out arm Greenpeace. Be like, Greenpeace, we're going to give you bazookas. We're going to give you some pretty cool machine guns. If you see any whalers, just kill them.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know it's intense, but I'm pro whale.
I'm just imagining like a Dr. Doolittle militia where you're at the helm, and then you just have all of your. You know
what? That's what I'm going to do when I'm 71. When I'm 71, I'm going to form the Dr. Doolittle militia. I'm going to get a barrel, and I'm going to get a bazooka, and I'm going to go defend those whales. And then if I drop my smartphone over the edge, it's fine because I'll be buddies with the whales.
Yeah, it's like you're taking the whole old man feeding the birds in the park to a whole new level.
Yeah.
You're like,
All right, closing up here. Irish ice cream company debuts chicken nugget flavored ice cream. I'm going to be honest with you, and listeners will know what I'm talking about. This sounds very much like one of the sponsors of our show. This sounds like the kind of thing that we would be sponsoring in the show. I'm actually going to ask Jennings to reach out and see if we can make these guys official sponsors of the show. Ice cream that tastes like chicken nuggets could be the worst thing ever, could be the best thing ever. Occasionally stuff like that sneaks up on you.
well, it reminds me of, if you go to McDonald's, and it's something that I've actually done. I say like over the past couple of months, I've gone I've done like a very late night like appearances, either a show or a podcast. And there's a McDonald's in the neighborhood in the West Village, 24 hours. And I went and I order 10-piece McNuggets, and now they serve breakfast all day. So I get like a sausage egg McMuffin, and I'm telling you, man, it is delicious. It is so good. And the mix of the vanilla ice cream and the chicken nuggets, I mean, it's sort of like soft serve ice cream. You could basically do it yourself at McDonald's. You take a bite of the chicken nugget, and then you take a lick of the vanilla soft serve. I was a little bummed out by the actual process that they showed the making of it, because it looked like they basically just minced up nuggets and then added like the vanilla ice cream and then mixed them together. I thought there was going to be, some kind of, very intricate process where, they were able to flavor the milk. I don't know. I was expecting a lot more.
You expect like milking chickens or something to get some sort of weird hybrid where it's chicken milk that's then turned into ice cream? That'd be great. Well, that'd be interesting to watch. I will hold on. So you're probably what we should do then is go to McDonald's, get chicken nuggets and a milkshake.
I think that would be good.
I will do that. I don't eat pork, but I can eat chicken, and I definitely can drink a milkshake. So I am going to try that out.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. Nonprofit delivering baby goat snuggles for a good cause. So this is an organization, I believe it's in Washington State, and you can anonymously or at least surprise a friend with these baby goats that'll show up to your work or home. I think originally it was envisioned for people that have some kind of disease or some kind of issue they're going through, but maybe it's expanding. I think this is phenomenal. The one thing I want to know is, how well educated are these goats? Are they like French school educated, or are they uneducated? Because that would make some effect on whether I'd want to take them. That said, though, I think the idea of surprising people with baby goats is brilliant. That's like, I'm pro-animal in the workplace, so this sounds great. If there are listeners of the program that figure out how they can get a baby goat to the blaze, we'll absolutely put it on camera while I'm doing a show. And it'll probably be like a really intense show that we hadn't planned on about abortion or something, but we'll still do it.
Well, the element of this is how they raise money is they have to pay to have the animal removed. So
really?
I guess they bill it as sort of a prank where these baby goats just show up and they're adorable, and whoever it was meant for is like, okay, here's $5. Can you come and get rid of them? And the people come, they take it back, and I was thinking, if that's the game you're playing, I think using an animal like a bobcat makes even more money. Just the idea of like, they're it's just like a 20-pound fleet of bobcats, and
See, I'm thinking that this is just a really easy way to get a free goat. Like, if you were already planning to get a goat, then just call these people, have them deliver it, and then be like, all right, thanks for the goat. And they're like, you're not going to pay us to take it back? And you're like, no, I got a free goat. Thanks for dropping it off. It's my goat now.
Yeah. And what do you do, too? Because these are all, baby goats. They're cute. They're adorable. I mean, what happens when that goat grows up and you have to deal with a teenage or an adult goat? I mean, I've never had to, deal with that outside of a petting zoo, which is, kind of like a minimum security prison where you get to touch the inmates. They can get nasty. nasty.
I mean, there's supposed to be like garbage disposals with hooves, so you could keep them in the backyard instead of composting. You could do that, although you're going to have a lot of goat droppings all over the place. I've only had one experience with a goat, and I didn't like it very much. When I was a kid, we would go to my Uncle Dan's farm in Alva, and we'd go horse riding, and he had a goat, and I remember coming in one time, at least, by my lights as a 10-year-old or whatever I was, I felt like I was just charging it like a crazy, Western country film level of velocity. And I was charging this goat. I don't think I was trying to bear down on it. I think it just happened to be on my way. And the goat just refused to get out, and I had to kind of careen around it at the last second. And I was irritated at the diffidence and impudence of that goat not getting out of my way.
Mm. And you've been in a way, you've been fighting goats your whole life, man.
Yeah. You've
been fighting the system. You've been fighting,
Capricorns,
all those around you.
Yeah. Absolutely true. All right, final story for today. A parody website with embarrassing photos of Joe Biden is outranking his official campaign on Google. So I've got mixed thoughts on Joe. I do think that his family sigil should be a man stepping on a rake. And this further confirms that to me. Yeah,
to be honest, I went and I checked out the parody account, and at first I was like, oh, that's funny, and then as I started to scroll, I had no idea there were just so many instances of Joe Biden, like awkwardly and creepily just touching people, and it kind of left me like, ooh, I didn't know that this was real.
Oh yeah. There's not. I don't think that he's sexually harassing anybody, nor do I think that there's any like weird kid vibe or anything like that. I don't think anything untowards like that's happening. But his sense of personal boundaries is very, very minimal. There's a presumption that everybody wants to be touched by him at work.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I can see that. Yeah, it's sort of. I don't know if you've had the experience of kind of being around people who are like close talkers, and I'm sure there's like a Seinfeld episode about it.
That sounds very Seinfeld-esque.
There's got to be a Seinfeld episode, but I had a real life experience with that, where I met up with my older brother at a neighborhood bar, and of course he invited a buddy of his that I never enjoy being around, and I'm like, oh, this is just gonna be the worst. And the guy is always like, I don't know if he thinks that I'm deaf, where he needs to be right in my face in order to talk to me. It got to the point where I kept moving back, and I put a stool in between us, like sort of like the laziest lion tamer possible. I put a stool in between us to try to keep him like, it's like, dude, are you gonna get the hint? Are you gonna get the hint here? But he's not. That guy has not thrown in his hat for the 2020. Election. So
yeah, well, he might have. I don't know. There's like 300 candidates. He might have. He might just not have come up yet.
Yeah.
I think the only time that I've got in trouble that I remember is my old boss, who I want to clarify was a great boss and a great guy who I am friends with. So none of this was meant in any malicious way. I was just kind of bored, and he left the room one day, and I went, "Hey, everybody, we're going to do a Tim experiment. I'm going to do a series of Tim experiments." Boss's name was Tim. And today, if you're going to talk to Tim, just touch him while you talk to him. Want to see what happens. And it escalated from kind of everybody's very friendly, to then suspicion, because everybody kept like grabbing his elbow when they were talking to him. And then finally an intern came over and just started petting him. And he did not take it well. And, kind of caused a little bit of a scene, but it was really nice to me. Like he took me into another room and was like, you can't do that. Don't ever do that again. And didn't like yell at me in front of a room full of people, as I think most other bosses would have done if their subordinates were trying to do experiments on them.
Was he, when he told you not to do that, was he touching you? Like, where were his hands at that point?
No, he was a good 6 feet away. He liked to keep a pool cues distance between us at all times. No, he was completely appropriate at that. Hey, Lou, it was fun to have you on the program. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
You're a funny guy. Where can people check out your funny stuff?
Yeah, you can check out We the Internet TV on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. You can go to our website, WeTheInternet.tv, and you can follow me on Twitter at Lou on the Subway.
Nice. All right, Lou, thanks. Come back again.
Thanks, brother.
Little bit of listener feedback before we finish up this week to go buy our milkshakes with chicken nuggets. On iTunes, Desbro says, even the foreign devil, parentheses Canadian, loves this pod. Respectful discussion with humor makes this my fave podcast. Heck, thanks to the host, I know where to go for my solutions to all my rooster problems. That's right. Jillian's rooster removal is where you need to go. Cool, we got somebody in Canada. That's awesome. I need to go back and look at some of our other statistics. I haven't done that in a while because for a while we had like 3 people in Estonia, a ton of like proportionally a bunch of people in Hutchinson, Kansas. Shout out to the Hutch if you guys are listening, and delighted to have northern neighbors as well. You can watch this whole show on YouTube if you look for Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. You can see my handsome bearded face and assortment of suits and the dead bison head we screwed to the wall. Watching Something's Off with Andrew Heaton on your computer will only make you seem more sophisticated and amusing at your office or prison cell. So go to YouTube and start watching full episodes. Sarah Wellen says that when I shave my beard, I look like Inspector Gadget, and she's not wrong. Remember, you can always tweet me at Mighty Heaton or Facebook me at facebook.com/Mighty Heaton, or even email me by subscribing to my newsletter when I send it out or when you get the confirmation email. Finally, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. That helps other people discover things like Russian beluga whale spies and Frenchmen in barrels right here at this political orphanage. Thank you, and have a good weekend.